tools that you need for this part are Qcell, resin. I'm using this Solres UV Cure resin. This is polyester though, so if you're working with EPS foam, do not use polyester resin. In that case, you would need to use epoxy resin. You're going to need masking tape, gloves, stirring stick, mixing cup, a squeegee, and this is optional. I'm going to add some blue pigment to the filler. Okay, so you want this to be thick, but a little bit runny. You don't want it too thick. You don't want it too runny. Okay, I mixed up my Qcell and I added a little bit of this blue resin tint to the filler. This is completely optional. If you don't do this, then your Qcell will be white. Using your stirring stick, overfill the ding with the Qcell filler. If you used resin and catalyst, then you just need to wait for that to cure. All right, so the Qcell has cured. Now let's remove the masking tape. I'm going to go ahead and use my power sander. And I'm going to start with this heavy grit. This is 60 grit, and then I'm going to move to 120 grit. I also have a handheld sander that I use to finish up. Safety gear. I'm going to use my earbuds and listen to music as earplugs. And then I'm going to wear some gloves, my safety goggles, and my respirator. All right, so we've sanded the dings. Now they're ready to glass. Tools that you need to glass are fiberglass, cloth, resin. I'm going to switch to this epoxy resin and catalyst. You're going to need a measuring cup, a container for the resin, a little brush, a scraper, some gloves, and scissors. Okay, so for this ding on the nose, I'm going to use these 2 layers of fiberglass to cover it. So what you need to do is cut 2. One of them will be the same size as the ding, and the other one will be just a little bit larger. And I cut these ones into kind of a diamond shape, and this will help when you put the resin on and you start spreading it. It will pull up or across and will stay tight. Okay, so I've got my resin ready to go along with my fiberglass cloth. So what you're going to do is take your paintbrush, dip in the resin, and put some resin onto the ding. And it is going to drip, so do this in a place where you don't care about resin getting everywhere. Okay, now you're going to add your first fiberglass cloth, which is the small one. Cover the ding. You don't want any air bubbles. Okay, add a little bit more resin. I'm going to use my little squeegee. To get it on. Okay, and repeat with the other piece of fiberglass cloth. Next, we're going to sand. I'm going to use 120 grit. I use a power grinder and a hand sander, gloves, and my respirator. Okay, so after I sanded it, I just touched it up with a little bit of resin. Okay, so for this last step, we're going to use some more sandpaper. This is 220 grit. This is 400 grit. Try to shine it up with this 600 wet dry grit. And I have this spray bottle for the wet part. And yeah, we're gonna wear gloves. All right, there she is. Obviously not perfect. I tried color matching, but couldn't get the right blue. But it's watertight, it's ultra smooth, and that's all that really matters.